Hey everybody, we're here today with Gary Morris, old friend of mine. How are you, dear?
I am old.
You are not old. We're not old. We are not old.
60 is the new what? 59?
40. Got it. 40. Let's just say that. Well, it's good to see you. Tell everybody what you kind of been up to.
Well, let's see. Let's start with, I'm going to give you my last 2 weeks, and then we'll go from there. 2 weeks ago, I was in Russia.
Wow.
I was in a raft, a big raft. I floated a river for 6 days up in Kamchatka, which is a far northeastern part of Russia. It was a trip to go fly fishing for giant
Awesome.
rainbow trout, and I had about a 40-pound king salmon on a 6-weight fly rod. To people that know fly fishing will understand what that is. So 6 days, camped every night at a different camp, and I flew home. I got back in, I guess it's been just about a week ago. I went from there, I drove my truck to Granbury, Texas. I played a Friday night, a Saturday matinee, a Saturday night, and a Sunday matinee at the Opera House in Granbury. It's a wonderful place to play. So I played a 2 o'clock show at the Opera House matinee, and because I screwed up in booking and didn't remember that I had a matinee on Sunday, I had a 5 o'clock
Oh, wow.
live radio show from the other side of Dallas, Plano. So I got off stage at 3:15. I drove what should have taken 2 hours in an hour and a half and didn't get stopped by highway patrol. And I got there, plugged my guitar in, and the guy says, "You have 6 minutes before you're live." And I did an hour and a half there, and then I drove to Nashville. That's my last 2 weeks.
That's our life. That's normal. That's, every day, right?
It's insane. But it's what I do. I'm here. I play. Actually, I play tomorrow night in Tullahoma, and that's Saturday night. Today's Thursday, right? Yeah.
Today is Friday.
Today's Friday. That is tomorrow night. Then I play tomorrow night there, and then I'm actually going to be singing at a funeral on Sunday down in Jackson, Tennessee, and I'll be back for a couple of days. And I'm driving back to my ranch. And my niece is getting married at the ranch, and so we have a big party and a big tent, and so that's kind of current.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm playing. I've been playing actually quite a bit out, mainly performing arts centers and 400, 500, 600 seat opera houses, which are really fun to play. I play solo.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gearing up for the Christmas tour, which I actually take a section out with me. Really, some great singers and players, and most of those dates right now are in Texas, but they might grow a little bit. I got a call from a friend, and they're doing they're building a huge performing arts center in Lubbock, Texas, with Buddy Holly's name on it. And in many ways, it's a tribute to him, which I think at the time, perhaps when we lost Buddy, there wasn't, in Lubbock, it was like, well, it's not that big a deal. The real truth of the matter is that, I talk about it on camera, we're filming it, and I'm interviewing his brothers, other big name pop artists who were affected by his little short tour of Europe in the late 50s. And we're talking about the McCartneys and the Elton Johns of the world and the Bob Dylans and those guys that really have been openly complimentary and said really he made a difference in how they approach their music.
Of course.
I say he was revolutionary because he'd married black and white music, country music and R&B music, and he and Elvis, but from a creative standpoint, Buddy Holly wrote most of his stuff. Elvis was, guided in the studio and sang other songs. So he was a revolutionary, and when he went over there, he started what I call the British invasion, which nurtured a lot of acts that came back. And then, of course, in the '60s, when we speak of the British invasion, we talk about the music they did. So I'm doing that. And if that's not enough, then elk season begins tomorrow, and I'm going to try to get up. I have a camp up at 13,000 feet above Lake City, Colorado, and I'm going to try to slide up there with my bow and arrow for a few days.
Little Gary time.
Yeah, little Gary time.
Well, good. Do you enjoy being on the other side of the camera and doing the interview part as much as you enjoy the entertainment side when you're on stage?
Yeah, I really have enjoyed the little bit of interviewing I've done because I'm really learning stuff. I'm asking questions I want to know, and it's really it's revealing. I can't give away all the stuff, but it's like the little inside stories that Buddy Holly's brothers can tell about what was going on with their family, and little Richard and some of the guys that Buddy was hanging with in the '50s in Lubbock, Texas, and to guys that sang background. The Crickets didn't have any singers.
Oh, wow.
The Crickets was a three-piece rhythm section, and really good. J.I. Allison, who lives here, and Sonny Curtis, who became a singer with him, but so the Crickets didn't have really any vocals. They were a rhythm section, and a good one. And so I've actually met and talked to a couple of guys that actually were the voices on the Crickets records, on the Buddy Holly and the Cricket records that had background voices. And then there's a little bit about all the and I've watched it and participated in my own career in all the contractual stuff that can go on with a record company or a manager.
Yeah, right.
And so from that standpoint, I like it. The other side of it is it's stressful trying to figure out what you're going to ask somebody that hasn't been asked.
Yeah.
That's where the stress comes. Getting the answers and going with them, and then being able to go, okay, well, what does that mean, or why did that happen? That's so easy, but asking the first question. So I have new respect for those people that do it. I've been interviewed a million times when people go, so where'd you grow up?
Right,
So,
right. The same standard questions. Yeah.
Yeah, but to ask a question that goes, why would you do that in that day? And why would Buddy Holly risk what I didn't know was Bob Montgomery, who co-produced my second album, was his first duo was Bob and Buddy in Lubbock.
Don't you love it when things come together that you find out that there's really a tie to those circles?
I was, and I asked his brother, Buddy's brother. He said, "Well, they tried bluegrass and they tried some other stuff, and they listened to all these R&B records, and they came up with the deal. And then, of course, Buddy got the contract, and I think it was with Decca, and Bob came here." My first single that I ever recorded was Sweet Red Wine, and it was a House of Gold song written by Tim DuBois, and it was Tim DuBois' first cut. It's like, you talk about 6 degrees of separation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It seems like we run into those all the time, and I'm always amazed because I know this person, I know that person. I had no clue that they knew each other or worked together or whatever it might be, and it's like I've been friends with both forever and had no idea that there was a connection there.
Right.
So that's awesome. Talk about. Are you doing anything play-wise or still doing any instructional work with students and any of that kind of stuff? I know you did a little bit of that for a while.
Yeah, I'm still, it's on my, there's nothing on my itinerary right now with any schools, but I still do the workshops where I go in and I like to do them. I'm doing them at the college level with theater and music groups together because it's really, as much as anything, it's a Q&A. I tell my story is, look, I went to a little small high school outside of Fort Worth. I didn't have any music lessons. My big thing was I was in Bye Bye Birdie in high school and Oklahoma, in which, living in Texas, they wanted me to pick up a Southern accent,
Of
if you can
course.
imagine. And went off to a small junior college, and I didn't go to Juilliard. I didn't go to any of these places, and I was able to play the lead in Les Mis. So your vision is the only thing that limits you, and that's a big part of what I talk about when I'm there. And then I'm able to give a little bit of instruction based on the kind of work I've done, and I've worked with a group in Fort Smith, Arkansas, before they did their Les Mis production, and then their production won some. They flew them to New York, won a gold medal in the big production contest. I don't even know what it is, but and I got plenty of thank yous for that. But but that's just all. That just makes for a good day. I like to do it where if I'm going to play in Rooster Poot, Arkansas, that I can do a class at Rooster Poot College and then do the concert.
Right, right.
Whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of combine everything and
Yeah.
get a little bit of it all in there. And
Yeah. So I give them a little bit, and then people come out, and then I give them more.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, and it's a great way to tie everything in and to get new fans, which kind of leads me to my next question. With the social media being so hot that it is today, and I know you're a very private person for the most part.
Yep.
You don't like to jump on all that. What are you doing to find new fans and to keep the old fans that are out there and keep them interactive with you?
It's really hard. I do have a Facebook page, and there's about 25,000 people on that. And I have my own Facebook page, but I don't even check it very often. You know, I managed to have a career in which, other than what's written in social media, most people don't know much about me, other than my songs. You know, I've tried to keep my personal life personal. And it's a lot tougher today, because back in the day, you know, there were only 3 or 4 channels.
Absolutely.
And there was really only half a dozen radio stations in the market, and you could go in and advertise. The people that know or like what I was doing in the 80s and 90s aren't listening to country radio. They're listening to talk radio, or they're not, or they're listening to Sirius, or listening to Willie's Roadhouse, or they're listening to something. And so reaching out is harder. But you know, I played in New Braunfels at a place called the Brontex, and it's not an arena, but it's a 600 plus seat room, and it was sold out. And I'm going, there are people still out there that really want to hear a melody and a singer. And Ronnie Millsap, at the same night I was playing, he was playing at Greens, which was like 5 miles away, and they were sold out. And it's like, there are people that will go out to hear somebody that actually comes in to sing songs and tell stories, but real melodies and real lyrics. And so I'm glad that I have that working for me.
Absolutely. Still doing songwriting? Still writing?
Oh yeah, I did a record called Single Man, and that's the last thing I can think of. I probably cut it last year, but I wrote everything on it. I've got stuff already written for a new project, and the only place you'll be able to get it is on my website, or at a live concert.
Right. So when you do the live music stuff, you still doing your meet and greets?
Yeah.
Any big stories that have come recently that touched you that maybe you haven't heard before or anything?
Well, I tell you, now there's a million of those stories. A lot of them still come into the website. But when I was playing at the Brontex, I was signing autographs afterwards, and this guy with his wife's in the line. He says, "Do you remember going to Aviano, Italy? I was doing a show over there right after the Bosnia incident." And I said, "Yeah, I did." He said, "Do you remember flying an F-16? I went, "Yeah, I will never forget that." He says, "I was your pilot in front."
Oh, wow.
And he'd come out, brought his wife, and they have the trainers where they have a pilot in front, and then you're right behind them.
Sure, yeah.
And I got to fly this, and I actually got the stick out over Venice And he said, we probably just shattered some glass down there because we broke the sound barrier.
Oh no.
But he came out and said, I've been following you, and I do some work with an organization called Healing Waters, and but it's just like you're tied to everybody. There's just so many people, and I didn't really think about it whenever I started making records that what you say and what you sing and how you carry yourself and how you represent yourself, ultimately it just keeps scattering out there. And so fortunately, I think I was lucky enough to have some pretty good material and stuff that I didn't mind singing every night, and the well of fans is vast and deep, and I'm glad it is. I still go out and do this.
Absolutely. Well, Gary, we've just about run out of time. Anything else that you wanted to make sure your fans know that you're doing, or someplace that you're going to be?
I want them to know I'm looking at a beautiful woman who's a great photographer, and I'm delighted to be here to do this today.
Bless your heart. I'll pay you when we're done. Well, thank you, Gary. It's always good to see you,
Thank you,
and we can't wait for new music from you.
All right.
Awesome.